Salve, salve galera, beleza? Pra quem não me conhece, meu nome é Akenato e você está no canal GAMESTON. Galera, é o seguinte, fiquei sabendo de última hora aqui o Xbox Game Extended. É uma continuação do Xbox Game Showcase que teve no domingo, beleza? Então a gente vai fazer essa live aí, se der tempo a gente faz o Forza Monthly, tá? Se der tempo, bora ver, parece que vai ter gameplay do Hellblade, parece que vai ter tudo. Então, antes de mais nada, deixa seu like, compartilhe com seus amigos, se inscreva no canal, beleza? E sejam todos bem-vindos, tranquilo? Eu tô numa tela aqui para ver qual que vai ser PT e BR, que o Xbox está transmitindo. Ele colocou 3 opções aqui. Tá faltando 6 minutos. Então, eu vou ficar nesse daqui por enquanto, que tem Audio Description. Eu acredito que seja alguma coisa para colocar PTBR. As legendas, entendeu? Então, bora ver aqui. Vou colocar aí na tela para vocês. Deixa eu só fechar um negócio aqui. E aqui foi tudo em cima da hora. Eu fiz esse flyzinho aí rapidão só para não... Tranquilo? Então, vou colocar aí na tela para vocês. Opa! Os aplausos não era para sair agora não. Ele se enturmou aqui. Beleza? Então tá aí na tela para vocês. Deixa eu ver aqui, tá em 4K, tá galera? Antes de mais nada. Na maior resolução aí. Acho que é só isso. Deixa eu ver aqui. Nesse aqui não, nesse aqui não. Ah tá, já coloquei. Deixa eu ver aqui, deixa eu só ver aqui o negócio rapidinho, galera. Já volto, rapidinho. Então, estou aqui de volta. A tela para vocês, beleza? Fazendo uns testes aqui ainda. Nossa, minha garganta hoje tá arranhando, viu? Ave Maria. Valeu quem mandou um coraçãozinho aí. Wigmans. Ah, ele quer do Discord, né? Não tô entendendo nada disso daqui. Mas enfim. Então aqui falta... Dando 3 minutos aqui. Bem aqui embaixo, ó. Não dá pra colocar em tela cheia ainda. Tá? Falta 4 minutos para 1h30. Então bora ver o que vai ter esse game... Xbox Game Showcase Extended, tá? Então bora ver, bora esperar aqui. Falta 3 minutos e 20. Deixa eu ver aqui nos outros aqui. Eu coloquei aqui também, ó. Aqui tá um pouquinho antes. E aqui também. Então deixa eu dar um F5 aqui. E beleza. Essa garganta hoje tá punk, viu? Tá dando uns arranhões. Deixa eu ver aqui. Deixa eu mandar mais aqui alguns aqui. Vou dar uma boa tarde. Aí se der tempo, galera, a gente vai lá pro Forza Monthly, tá? Esse evento aqui estiver sendo melhor, a gente fica aqui. Mas se não for, a gente passa pra lá. Vai ser só do Forza, mas acredito que esse aqui vai ser melhor. É uma extensão do... É uma extensão do evento de domingo. O Xbox Game Showcase. Beleza? E esse é o estendido. Tranquilo? Então... Deixa seu like, se inscreva no canal, compartilhe com seus amigos, se inscreva, que é importante, deixar o seu like é importante. Beleza? Então falta o quê? 2 minutos? 1 minuto e 48. Nossa garganta, ó. Vocês viram o trailer do Star Wars, é o novo? Pancada, viu? Pancada. Do Prince of Persia eu gostei pra caramba também. Foi no evento de ontem do Ubisoft Forward. Eu não pude transmitir, mas tô aqui hoje. Deixa eu ver aqui, manja essa daqui pra mim ver. Ah, tá, esse aqui eu vou trocar. Então falta 1 minuto. 1 minute. Aí pra quem não viu a thumb aí do evento de hoje, é essa daqui, ó. Essa daí, ó. A thumbzinha de hoje, tá? PTBR. Beleza? A thumbzinha essa daí. Vocês já almoçaram? Eu acabei de almoçar, velho. Vim voando pra cá. Opa, apareceu alguma coisa ali. Deixa eu pegar aqui alguma coisa aqui. Deixa eu ver. Deixa eu ver aqui rapidinho. Ao vivo. Oh, ixi, ainda falta 30 minutos, galera. Então vai começar às 2 horas. Eu acabei de ver aqui, ó. Deixa eu dar um F5 aqui. É isso mesmo? Até mudar a thumb ali. Será que é o mesmo evento, velho? Aí, ó. 30 minutos. E aqui não apareceu nada. Então a gente vai ficar de olho naquele canal, naquela outra ali. Não bora fechar isso aqui, não. Bora deixar isso daqui. Vamos deixar isso daqui 30 minutos. Beleza? Bora dar um F5 aqui. Beleza, um F5. Bora curtir aqui a live. 30 minutos, então vai começar às 14 horas. É, vai ser estendido, pô. Vai ser tipo uma continuação, né, do Xbox Game Showcase. Ou seja, deve aparecer mais coisas do Hellblade, de repente do Fable. Não sei, né? Bora trocar uma ideia aqui, pô. Bora trocar uma ideia aqui. E o que que tu espera? Eu espero o Hellblade. Eu acho que o Hellblade vai ter alguma coisa aqui sobre o Hellblade, mas não mostrou quase nada, né, do Hellblade. Mostrou uma gameplay ali, mas bem fraquinha, eu achei. E bem fraquinha agora a gameplay do Fable, eu fiquei de cara, velho. Aquilo tudo era tudo no jogo, véio, tudo in-game, velho. Eu fiquei muito cabuloso, velho. Eu fiquei encabulado pra ver se era verdade, velho. Fiquei de cara mesmo. Bora ver se tem alguma notícia aqui. Bora ver aqui se tem algum. Deixa eu ver aqui. O pessoal tava reclamando, né, dos 30 FPS do Starfield, né, no console. Tem até uma notícia aqui sobre isso aqui na Game Vice. Bora ver aqui rapidinho. E aqui tá assim, ó. Desenvolvedor de God of War Ragnarok defende a escolha dos 30 FPS em Starfield. Ter 60 FPS nessa escala teria um grande impacto na fidelidade visual. Vou pedir para Francisca dar uma lida aqui pra gente. Bora lá.
Um dos grandes assuntos do momento é Starfield e também sobre os 30 FPS na versão Xbox Series, que infelizmente não terá modo desempenho de 60 FPS. Até mesmo o próprio Phil Spencer disse que Starfield a 30 FPS não é um problema da plataforma e sim escolha criativa. Existem muitas discussões sobre os 30 FPS nesse exato momento e dias atrás, um desenvolvedor de God of War, Ragnarok, que trabalha na Santa Mônica Studio, decidiu comentar a respeito.
Bora ver o resto aqui. Os pessoal me respondendo aqui, me mandando coisas aqui. Bora aqui, rapidinho.
De acordo com Dani Carlone, 30 FPS não é um sinal que o jogo está inacabado, e sim, na verdade, uma escolha. Além disso, Starfield é um jogo de grande escala. Desenvolvedor de jogos aqui, grande fã, aliás. Queria esclarecer que não é um sinal de um jogo inacabado. É uma escolha. Ter 60 FPS nessa escala teria um grande impacto na fidelidade visual. Acredito que eles queiram alcançar uma aparência contínua e menos pop-in. E é claro que você tem o direito de não gostar dessa escolha, respondeu ele ao usuário que já apagou o tweet sobre os 30 FPS do jogo. Como disse o desenvolvedor de God of War, Ragnarok, a Bethesda prefere entregar aos jogadores um jogo com melhores visuais do que 60 FPS. Ele até mesmo cita os pop-in como exemplo, ao executar Starfield a 60 FPS. Starfield será lançado no PC e consoles Xbox no dia 6 de setembro de 2023. O jogo também chega Day One por meio do Xbox Game Pass.
Então tá aí, até mesmo o desenvolvedor de God of War Ragnarok defende os 30 FPS do Starfield, né? Porque é um jogo grandioso, pô. Esse jogo, se colocar tudo que mostrou no jogo, é um jogo que vai ser o jogo do século, velho. Não tem pra onde correr. Quem viu, tá ligado. Então é o seguinte. 60 FPS seria melhor? Seria. Mas pra grandiosidade desse jogo, 30 FPS ali cravadinho, vai ser tranquilo, pô. Tranquilo, o pessoal reclama demais, pô. Daí aquelas pessoas que nem gostam de... Deixa eu ver aqui o que ele falou aqui. É aqui, ó. É a mesma coisa que tava lá, ó. O sinal de um jogo inacabado é uma escolha. 100 FPS em escala seria um grande sucesso para o... pô. Se tiver 30 FPS redondo, não vejo problema nenhum nisso. Eu nunca liguei esse negócio de FPS. Starfield se inspirou na invenção de Red Dead Redemption 2, diz Todd Howard. Bora ver essa matéria aqui rapidinho. Bora ver aqui no Game Vício. Ela tá aqui no Game Vício mesmo. Cadê? Oxi, já sumiu a notícia, velho. Calma aí. Cadê? Oxi. Vou de atualizar. Aqui não. É doido, cadê o Starfield? Vou puxar pra cá essa matéria. Aí. Starfield se inspirou na invenção de Red Dead Redemption 2, diz Todd Howard. Starfield concentra em transportar os jogadores e mergulhá-los completamente em seu mundo. Bora ler aqui.
Recentemente, a Bethesda revelou grandes novidades de Starfield após o evento do Xbox, incluindo novas cenas de gameplay, detalhes de como o jogo funciona e muito mais. Todd Howard, da Bethesda, também forneceu entrevistas para comentar mais detalhadamente sobre o jogo e disse sobre em quais jogos o estúdio se inspirou para desenvolver Starfield.
Bora ler o resto aqui. É porque Red Dead, né, velho, de mundo aberto, aquele jogo é espetacular, aquele jogo.
Todd Howard foi questionado sobre as inspirações do jogo em uma entrevista ao IGN, e de forma interessante, ele afirmou que, embora haja semelhanças óbvias que remetem ao cenário de ficção científica de Starfield, o jogo que a Bethesda Game Studios buscava mais como referência foi Red Dead Redemption 2. Segundo Todd Howard, assim como Red Dead Redemption 2, Starfield concentra-se em transportar os jogadores e mergulhá-los completamente em seu mundo, a fim de permitir que eles vivam sua fantasia de explorador de ficção científica. Bem, claramente, esses são os jogos de ficção científica que eu acredito que você possa olhar e dizer: ok, isso é ficção científica, é parecido com isso, disse Howard quando questionado sobre Mass Effect e No Man's Sky. Eu acho que o gameplay minuto a minuto, obviamente em terra, tem semelhanças com Elder Scrolls e Fallout e as coisas que fizemos e como se sente em suas mãos. Certas mecânicas. Acredite ou não, são os jogos que te colocam em um mundo, que te transportam para um lugar, disse ele. Então, acho que provavelmente tem mais uma sensação como Red Dead Redemption 2. Como se estivesse vivendo a fantasia do Velho Oeste. Então, nisso, você está vivendo essa fantasia de explorador de ficção científica. Às vezes é estar em um planeta desolado, onde nada está acontecendo, e tudo isso. Para mim, são os jogos onde eu sinto que estou enraizado na realidade desse universo do jogo, e todo o resto meio que desaparece. Red Dead Redemption 2 é considerado como um dos maiores jogos de todos os tempos e muitos estúdios aproveitam dessa qualidade como forma de inspiração em seus projetos. Starfield será lançado no PC e consoles Xbox no dia 6 de setembro de 2023. O jogo também chega Day One por meio do Xbox Game Pass.
Então tá aí. Foi inspirado no, né, na imersão de Red Dead Redemption 2. Bora ver se tem outra notícia por aqui. Bora ver aqui a live. Aqui também já... Interpretation, deixa eu ver o que tá escrito aqui. Vou ver aqui rapidinho. A interpretação começará em breve. E aqui, bora ver se tem alguma coisa. E volta 20 minutos. Esse aqui tem um áudio description. Será que vai ter em PTBR? Aqui, ó. 20, 24, 22. E tá um pouquinho. Puxa, esse aqui tem que dar uma atualizada. Aí 20, 16, 12. Esse aqui dá outra atualizada. Vou ficar nesse daqui. Vai ser em 1080, porém o canal GameStone estará transmitindo em 4K. Já tá aí na tela para vocês. Então tá aí a telona aí para vocês. Beleza? Vou adiantar essa tela aqui para 2x. Esse daqui também. 10 segundos de diferença. Tá bom. Então tá aí, falta 19 minutos. Eu vou procurar um trailer aqui. O Xbox e o Forza Monthly começa às 15 horas. Se tiver ruim aqui, a gente vai pra lá. Senão, a gente fica aqui mesmo. Porque lá só vai mostrar o Forza. Pelo que eu li aqui. Deixa eu ver aqui. Vou traduzir isso aqui. Junte-se a nós para uma edição especial de junho de Forza Monthly. Estará uma demonstração de jogabilidade do novo modo de carreira do Forza Motorsport. Builders Cup, compartilhar mais detalhes sobre o próximo jogo. Você também ouvirá Playground Games sobre o retorno da Dungeon Media, @Dungeon, na atualização da série Upgrade Heroes para Forza Horizon 5. Então vai ter uma atualização Forza Horizon 5. O organizador da corrida da comunidade, sobre seus eventos, plano de off-season e muito mais. Galera, acho que a gente vai ter que ficar por aqui mesmo. Acho que o evento não vai ser tão assim não. Nossa, garganta tá punk, velho. Então a gente tá aqui no Xbox Showcase Extended. Beleza? Caraca, tem que tomar água aqui, velho. Tá 17 minutos, vou ver se eu acho um trailer aqui pra nós. Um trailerzinho que vai ser mostrado do... Já tem uma musiquinha, mas... Vou deixar a nossa música aqui por enquanto. Tá? Transmissão em 4K, beleza, galera? Transmissão em 4K. Apesar do evento estar transmitindo em 1080, nós estamos transmitindo em 4K. Resolução máxima aí, beleza? Eu acho que a imagem fica bem melhor. Ver se tá tudo funcionando aqui. Beleza. Falta 16 minutos e 44 segundos. Ver se eu acho um trailer aqui pra gente assistir. Vou colocar aqui trailer. Starfield. Ver se aparece alguma coisa aqui. Aqui é antigo, deixa eu ver. É 3 meses. Esse daqui há um dia. Esse aqui que a gente vai assistir. Deixa eu ver se... Vou colocar pra vocês.
Humanity has always hunted for knowledge in the unknown. The wonder is not that the field of stars is so vast.
Tirar a música aqui, porque vou deixar só a legenda aí pra vocês, tá? Vou tirar aqui. Realmente eu não vou fazer assim. Esse jogo vai ser animal, velho. Vai ser animal esse jogo, viu? Pancada. Deixa eu postar alguma paradinha aqui no Twitter enquanto passo o trailer. Falta 1 minuto e pouquinho. Vou postar aqui. Deixa eu ver. Isso mesmo. Bora ver outro trailer aqui. Vou ver lá. 13 minutos. Tá chegando a hora. Deixa eu ver a musiquinha aqui. Deixa a musiquinha minha rolar que é melhor. Pronto, compartilhei aqui no Twitter. Embora. 12 minutos. Deixa eu ver como é que tá aqui. Vou dar um... F5 aqui. Ixi, isso aí. Não tá de boa agora. Tô compartilhando os lances aqui, tá, galera? Rapidinho. Rapidão aqui. Mas podem conversar aí que eu tô aqui, viu? Eu leio e já respondo. Aqui. Beleza. E cadê? Aqui. Pronto. Pronto, compartilhado. 10 minutos, 10 minutos. Nossa, passou rápido, hein? Passou muito rápido. Deixa eu ver se... Olha aqui o celular, ver se deu certo. Ok. 10 minutos, 10 minutos. Travado. Bora, galera. Xbox Game Showcase Extended. É um show estendido do dia 11, no domingo. O pessoal que tá viajando no bate-papo, vocês estão vendo aí? Forza 8, GTA 6, Halo 8. Eita. Ou viagem. E aí, galera, fala alguma coisa aí? Quem não tá falando nada, o chat tá parado. Eu outra coisa aqui. Pronto, agora tô de boa. Acabando, galera. 8 minutos. Deixa eu ver aqui. Deixa aqui, tá bem atrasado. 8 minutos em ponto. Opa, apareceu alguma coisa aqui. Mas aqui não apareceu legenda. Vou dar uma atualizada nesse daqui. Aqui também não apareceu legenda. Esse aqui apareceu legenda, hein? Esse daqui apareceu legenda. Putz, velho. Acho que não vai ter legenda em português, viu? E ó, Games, Xbox Game Show will start soon, tá chegando. E ó, esse aqui nada ainda de legendas. Dá um F5 aqui. Nada de legendas. De repente é bem ao vivo mesmo, né? Porque aquele de domingo foi gravado, né? Então a legenda tava mais tranquila, né? Mas bora ver, a gente qualquer coisa a gente deixa no inglês mesmo. Tentando fazer alguma coisa, né? Tô de olho aqui, ver se tem algum outro. Não tem, velho. Deixa eu ver aqui. Ó, só tem 3 vídeos. Esse áudio description aqui não. Aqui não tem legenda. Estranho, né? Então bora lá, galera. Se inscreva no canal, deixe seu like, compartilhe com seus amigos. Beleza? Isso é muito importante pro canal. Tranquilo? Deixa eu ver aqui. É áudio descrição mesmo, eu não entendi. Então tá aí, galera. Bora ver se esse. Falta 5 minutos aqui, 5 minutos aqui também, beleza? Que tá bem sincronizada. Só se esse áudio description aqui já aparecer a legenda já automático, né? Porque esse daqui, ó, aqui tá atrasado. 4 minutos, esse daqui não tem legenda. Não há legenda closed caption disponíveis. Atualizar esse daqui. 4 minutos e 30, tá acabando. Tá acabando pra começar. Tá acabando o tempo, já vai começar, hein? Deixa eu ver a música. Tem uns quando começar eu coloco a música, tá? A conexão tá excelente, então tá braba a conexão aqui. Eu não sei, galera. Qual que eu deixo? 3 minutos e 51, 3 minutos e 40 e pouco aqui. Deixa eu ver. Esse. Aqui também tá 3 minutos e 30 e pouco, tá bom. Nossa, isso aqui tá bem atrasado. Nossa, esse aqui pipocou o chat aqui, hein? O chat que tá bombando. Bora deixar like aqui em todos, né? Beleza? Um cara ele falou 3 minutos. Vai ser aqui que vai ter. Só tá em inglês aí. Vou tirar aqui o áudio, vou deixar nesse aqui mesmo. Não começou aí? Vixe Maria. Bora.
So who's the angel, who's the devil, though? That's the real question between Solomon and Johnny.
I'd like to think I'm always
É o Cyberpunk, o Liberty, né? Phantom Liberty. Não, caramba. Nossa.
Is a guitar, and a young woman grasps a sword. Text. Test the limits. Push the back.
Não achei. PTBR. Aí é a continuação mesmo, que parou aí, né? No domingo.
Welcome to the Xbox Games Showcase Extended. My name is Tina Amini, and I'm here to dive a little bit more into the games you saw at our recent Xbox Games Showcase. Showcase featured 27 ambitious games, all coming to Xbox. Games like Clockwork Revolution from inXile Entertainment, Fable from Playground Games, and from our partners, Star Wars Outlaws from Ubisoft Massive in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games, and Kunitsu Gami, Path of the Goddess from Capcom. Today, we'll take a closer look at some other games from our showcase lineup and introduce you to some more games
Ah, o cara
too.
também tá
We've got
em
the game
inglês.
director of Avowed from Obsidian
Não
Entertainment
foi em
breaking
português.
down the game's trailer, and the game director of Hi-Fi Rush from Tango Gameworks is here to tell us about their newest update.
Vai
You'll
ter coisa
also
do
hear
Hi-Fi
from
Rush,
Sarah
hein?
Bond, head of the Gaming Ecosystem Organization for Xbox, who will tell us more about a program to bring games from underrepresented developers with unique visions to Xbox and Game
Novos
Pass.
games, Sarah
And we
Bond.
may just have a few other fun guests in store for you too, so stay tuned. But first,
O Nick
let's check
Vision
out the
com
rainy
Game
streets and
Pass.
sinister markets of Cyberpunk 2077
Outras
Phantom
questões.
Liberty.
Ixi, Maria. A legenda é muito rápida.
Hello everyone, I'm really excited to welcome you to this exclusive Xbox store over Black Market, one of the locations in Dogtown that you are going to be able to explore in Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty.
Enquanto isso, vou procurar aqui, tá, gente?
As you can see,
É o
Dogtown
Phantom
welcomes
Liberty.
you with open arms.
Too tame?
This is Black Market, a location where you as a player, as a mercenary, you can obtain unique cyberware and weapons, things that you cannot find anywhere in this world. Dogtown is a part of Night City, but has its own very distinct look and vibe. It's outside of the jurisdiction of NCPD, attracting all kinds of eccentrics and it's outside of the jurisdiction.
Radical mods, June. Never seen anything like
É
that.
tudo em inglês mesmo, tudo em inglês.
You mean this? Ain't seen nothing yet. Check this out.
Capturado no Xbox Series X,
We have put a
no modo
lot of work
performance.
into making the world feel more alive. Small scenes, secrets to find, Easter eggs, make this place feel more vibrant and more believable.
Maintenance accessories and...
But what's inescapable in Dogtown is Kurt Hansen. Kurt is a leader of Borges militia who rules Dogtown with an iron fist.
You've come to the right place. NCPD, gang wars, not in Dogtown. Taxes, who the needs them? In Dogtown, I keep your business safe as long as you abide by my rules.
A really nice guy, as you can see.
I thought so.
The black market also is a place where you can find new illegal weapons and goods. They are some of the most powerful items in the world, but are often much more dangerous to use. A new cyberware capacity system, which leads you to push your body to the limit and gives you new abilities to deliver more thrilling gameplay experiences, like the air dash or the ability to see the enemies through the walls, or change your appearance to lose the heat. The Borges is the authorities of Dogtown, and they are more dangerous than NCPD. When you as a player commit crimes in Dogtown, they are the guys who are going to chase you. We have completely overhauled the police system. Police actions are more believable, dynamic, and diverse. The team has been working passionately to deliver you more deeper and meaningful experience, and I really cannot wait for you to find out more this September. See you in Dogtown.
Tô tentando procurar aqui, galera. Vão assistindo aí. (26 de setembro de 2023), Phantom Liberty.
We're not done talking about CD Projekt Red's next dive into the story between V and Johnny just yet. In fact, we're here with the voice and stylings of Johnny Silverhand, Keanu Reeves himself. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Likewise. Well, Phantom Liberty introduces us to an entirely new location in Night City. It's called Dogtown. It's this devastated place. It's controlled by a militia. But I think you know more about it than I do. So how would you describe it to players?
Night City has its own kind of levels to it, and I think Dogtown is kind of going down to a darker place. It's dystopian. It has a tension to it and this undercurrent of kind of violence, you know, and struggle. You know, can I swear?
Yeah.
Shit's gone down in Dogtown.
Oh, I like that tagline.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, I mean, hopefully it'll be fun for people to play there.
It's hard to believe that there's an underbelly to the underbelly that is Night
good.
City,
Yes,
right? Yeah, I'm a little scared, but in a good way.
No, it's a good way. I mean, we're all kind of we're all moths to the flame, aren't we? And there's a lot of flame in Dogtown.
Well, if anyone can take it on, it's V, so that certainly gives me the confidence.
Yeah, V's a survivor.
Exactly. Oh, yeah.
You know?
And we just saw a tour of Dogtown, too, so we got a little bit of that ambiance, and we can see what the environment is like. People are getting beat up. It's not good.
It's
not the friendliest place to be. You gotta be prepared for it, truly.
Yeah.
But in our tour, we also hear a recording from a Colonel Kurt Hansen. Who's this guy? Because he seems pretty dangerous, too.
Yeah, that guy. No, I'm sorry, I can't say that. My inner Johnny came out.
I think that's good. You know, we know the tone now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's ex-military, military too, ruthless, power hungry, manipulative, and Johnny doesn't like him.
I could see that. I mean, Night City in general is the kind of place that breeds that kind of character.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back. Let's talk about Johnny as a person instead of this horrible person known as Colonel Kurt Hansen. I don't know about this guy, but people like Johnny, and I think it's interesting because we know him to be opinionated. He's radical. We've seen that in Cyberpunk 2077 in the Man campaign, but as we get to know him, he's got a sensitive side too. He can actually be quite caring.
That's what makes it so much fun. He is outspoken. He's a little grumpy. And he has a right to be. He's been used, he's been abused, he's been abandoned. And I think that through that kind of hardness of his outside, there is a vulnerability to him. And I think what's great about it is I get to play that character in so many different ways, and so the range of it is cool.
And especially for the player, you get to see these moments in flashbacks.
Bora ver, galera. Bora ver,
he's a
tô atrás da
product of
legenda
his
aqui ainda.
upbringing, truly, of his surrounding.
Well, let's not get carried away. I mean, we could start talking about nature and nurture. I'm sorry, I keep dropping into Johnny. But, yeah, I like his anger. I like his passion. I like what he stands for. He's really just looking for a fair shot. And I love that he's kind of going through music, that there's an artist side to him. And, you know, I got some great speeches.
There's all these moments with Johnny where a tiny little thing, you know, elicits this really fun response. You can flip him off and he double birds you back. Like, I love those kind of moments.
Or rock.
I think another interesting lens of looking at him as we get into Phantom Liberty is his dynamic with Solomon Reed. So what can you tell me about Johnny's relationship with Idris Elba's character?
I think Solomon has some things in common with Johnny in the sense of the military, the sense of being used, abused. You know, it's in the title, right? They're fighting for a liberty. You know, Solomon's kind of trying to reclaim his life, you know, and Johnny's doing the same thing. You know, it's Cyberpunk 2077, so it might start off as revenge, and it might end as revenge, but I think sometimes he feels like he's lashing out at the wind, you know? And I think Solomon has been living out in the kind of the desert of his life, right? Kind of hiding and harboring.
Yeah.
But I think he also has that kind of soft and hard side to him as well.
So as somebody who's very familiar with thrillers, because you've starred in a few, what do you think about Phantom Liberty makes for a good spy thriller in particular?
The quest to understand what's going on. So, and the kind of scavenger hunt of information, the mystery, the double crossing, what is true, what's fiction, what can you count on? You can't count on anything. That is really kind of amplified.
Well, thank you so much for coming out to another Xbox presentation. You've got a lot of fans out there in the Xbox community, so I think I can speak for all of us in saying we really appreciate you showing up here today.
Oh, well, thank you.
But before I close things out,
Yeah.
well, before I close things out, I'd love your help here, Keanu. How do you think Johnny would end this interview right now?
Well, there's a lot of ways you could do that. But, Tina, pleasure to meet you.
Oh, is that how Johnny would do it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Johnny.
Nice to see you.
Such a pleasure to have you here. I thought you were going to kick down the camera or something, so.
No, you see, he's respectful. You know, you're a good egg.
Oh, thank you. You too.
Yeah.
And I'll see you out there again soon.
Galera, eu vi a legenda ali, mas o cara colocou, tá uma bosta, tá atrasadaça, tá quase um ano de... Tá horrível a legenda. Então deixa aqui mesmo, deixa no inglês mesmo.
Sorry for dragging you all into this.
Vixe. High on Life. Se o jogo quando tiver em PTBR, vai ser maravilhoso. Aí eu jogo.
Doesn't exist. It's a pantomime. Theater. And if you get a glimpse behind the scenery, the stagecraft, you'll discover nothing but darkness. And once perceived, it will swallow you whole. I'm in a race against this darkness. A race to look at an ancient ruin, a tower of unspeakable power. I need the best of the best. But they're all dead. So I'll use you. Scoundrels, thieves, cutthroats, the best of the worst. Oh, come now. Try not to look so glum. You're going to help me save the world.
Vocês vão me ajudar a salvar. Observo o mundo. Isso que ele falou.
When it comes to RPG studios, Obsidian Entertainment is among the very best. From Fallout New Vegas and the Outer Worlds to Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2 and Pentiment, Obsidian Games have placed their stamp on the genre. Joining us today for a closer look at Avowed is game director Carrie Patel. Carrie, I'm so excited to have you here. We just saw this big reveal of Avowed, and there's so many little bits of information in there that I want to dig out and pick your brain around. But before we get into all that, I'm assuming that you don't need to have played Pillars 1 or 2 to really get into Avowed.
You're absolutely right. You don't need to have played Pillars 1 or 2. You can come to the world of Avowed fresh. We want this to be a welcoming experience to new players. But if you are a returning fan, there are some recognizable tidbits.
For people who have played Pillars 1 or 2, can you tease any more of just those general connections to the universe? No major spoilers, of course.
Yeah. There are a couple returning characters that players might recognize from Deadfire in particular. Players who have played the original games will recognize some of the parts of the world and some of the factions. The Enduring Empire plays pretty heavily into the world of Avowed, so all of that will be familiar to returning players.
We do start to see some of that Pillars universe now in the Avowed setting, which is really exciting, and it's looking amazing so far. But can you confirm one thing for me? Are we still in Aora?
We're still in Aora, and specifically we're in a region called the Living Lands. So again, returning Pillars fans will recognize the Living Lands as this otherworldly frontier. It's very remote. It's relatively unknown. It's this very dramatic landscape full of all of these different valleys with these unique biomes and creatures. Just a really unique visual perspective. And it's a wonderful frontier spot that's set for adventure. There's a lot that's undiscovered. And so that's the part of Aora that we're introducing players to in Avowed.
And we also see a character talking to us in the trailer. He seems like he might be a companion, because that would be a very Obsidian thing to do. So what's going on with that?
Yes, this is Kai, and he is one of the first companions you meet in the game. He's an Amawa. That's one of the unique species of the world of Aora. And Kai as a character brings a balance of this really battle-hardened perspective. He's seen a lot. He's served as a soldier and a mercenary, but he also has a really unique sense of humor. So he brings a spirit of levity and camaraderie to the party as well.
And as he's talking to us, he's also kind of conveying, well, he's straight up saying that he's afraid of you and your abilities. But it's not like the heroes are the only powerful beings in this universe. So I'm curious what that means for who we are as the player character. Are we a watcher again, like in Pillars 1 and 2? Or maybe we have some connections to the spirit realm and beyond that gives us these terrifying abilities?
So you're not a watcher this time, but you do have a unique soul connection to the world that gives you a connection to the Living Lands and to some of the more mysterious forces at work there. The player's also being sent as an envoy of the Adira Empire, and so they come with both a very mysterious aura, but also a certain
sense of conexão comum, conexão com Ative, não de algumas forças misteriosas. Deu a Void, né, velho?
I can't say too much just yet, except that it is a unique soul plague that is devouring the living lands, and part of the player's mission in being sent here is to investigate
Pode
and
falar? Eu não posso dizer muito, mas é uma praga devorando as terras e parte do jogador. É pesquisar e parar com isso. E esse combate no... Essa legenda aqui tá muito ruim. Muito ruim.
So we wanted to take that same depth and breadth of play styles and combat abilities and player fantasies, where you can play someone who's very magically attuned, more traditional
Pra
fighter,
deixar a legenda assim
and
mesmo.
really invest in whatever play style is most appealing to you personally. We wanted to take that depth and breadth and translate it into a first-person experience, where you can feel the visceral nature of the attacks, feel the dynamism and the momentum of those attacks as you're executing them, and that means including a range of options like, as you noted, dual-wielding pistols, which is one of my favorites because you don't see that often in fantasy RPGs, but also traditional sword and board, a whole host of magical abilities, a lot of things that'll be both a little bit familiar but hopefully new to players as well.
And I've got one more question for you because I know the audience is going to want to know this one, but just how big is this game?
So it's going to be roughly comparable to something like Knights of the Old Republic 2 or The Outer Worlds. It is set up as a series of interconnected open zones that players can explore at their own pace. You can invest in discovering every nook and cranny in the world, discovering every secret, finding every side quest, meeting every character, or you can have a much more focused experience. And it's really up to players and how much time they want to spend in the living lands, but I'm hopeful that they're going to spend a lot of time with us once Avowed releases.
Well, count me in as one of those players because I definitely want to read and hear every line of dialogue, everything everyone has to tell me, and discover every inch of the living lands. Well, thank you again so much for being here, Carrie. This has been so insightful and fun.
Thank you, Tina. This has been a pleasure.
That was just a taste of what you can expect from Obsidian Entertainment when Avowed lands next year on Xbox, PC, and Game Pass.
Xbox, PC, Game Pass.
퍼스트 디센던트는 언리얼 엔진 5를 사용한 차세대 3인칭 루트 슈터 게임으로 엑스박스 시리즈 X와 S, 엑스박스 1을 포함해 콘솔과 PC 크로스 플레이가 가능하고 프리투 플레이로 즐기실 수 있도록 개발 중입니다. 퍼스트 디센던트에서 플레이어는 계승자가 되어 인류의 생존을 위해 침략자들과 맞서 싸우게 됩니다. 계승자는 플레이어의
E a legenda ali no outro canal ali tá uma bosta. Tá pior do que aqui.
가지고 있습니다. 플레이어는 계승자를 통해 잉그리스 대륙을 탐험하며 스토리를 체험하고 다양한 임무를 혼자서 혹은 협동 플레이로 수행하게 됩니다. 또한 최대 4인 협동 플레이로 거대 보스와의 레이드를 경험할 수 있습니다. 거대 보스별 다양한 기믹과 부위 파괴 등을 통해 밀도 높은 팀 플레이를 체험하실 수 있습니다. 현재 개발팀은 작년 베타 테스트에서 플레이어분들에게 받은 피드백을 개선하는 작업과 신규 컨텐츠의 개발을 병행하고 있습니다. 지금 보시는 화면은 최초로 공개하는 엑스박스 시리즈 X의 실제 게임 플레이 영상입니다. 언리얼 엔진 5를 활용한 높은 퀄리티의 그래픽이 안정적으로 돌아가도록 열심히 개발 중에 있습니다. 신규 계승자 역시 개발 중에 있는데요. 이 계승자는 물을 이용한 독특한 컨셉의 플레이를 경험할 수 있도록 디자인되었습니다. 또한 자기장을 이용한 방어 능력과 비행 스킬을 지닌 새로운 캐릭터도 개발하고 있습니다. 플레이어분들이 더 많은 탐험을 하고 몰입감 넘치는 스토리를 경험할 수 있도록 다양한 환경의 신규 맵을 개발하고 있으며 새로운 타입의 보스 레이드 역시 지속적으로 개발하고 있습니다. 그리고 많은 분들이 요청하셨던 코스메틱 시스템도 도입 중에 있는데요. 캐릭터들마다 다양한 컨셉의 스킨을 제공할 예정이며 꾸미기 아이템을 통해 개성을 마음껏 뽐낼 수 있도록 지원할 예정입니다. 가장 많은 피드백을 받았던 그래플링 훅은 시스템을 완전히 변경하였습니다. 변경된 그래플링 훅은 조작에 따른 회전과 이동 시 가속 감속을 지원하여 조작의 재미를 훨씬 더 증대하였습니다. 이 밖에도 피드백을 반영하여 점프 모션, 총기 사운드, UI와 UX를 지속적으로 개선해 나가고 있으며 계승자 스킬을 개조할 수 있는 시스템도 개발 중에 있습니다. 게임 사운드 또한 글로벌 유명 게임 작곡가인 스티븐 바튼과 협업하여 보다 풍성한 청각적 경험을 제공하기 위해 준비 중에 있습니다. 마지막으로 여러분께서 가장 기다리실 소식을 전해드리겠습니다. 현재 저희는 연내 출시를 목표로 하고 있으며 그에 앞서 8월 Xbox Series X와 S를
Por último, gostaria de compartilhar as notícias que todos vocês estavam esperando.
진행할 예정입니다.
Nós vamos lançar esse
베타
jogo
테스트는 8월 22일부터 8월
no
28일까지
cosplay no teste beta em agosto.
오늘부터 공식 홈페이지를 통해 신청하실 수 있으니
Estaria
플레이어분들의 많은
conselhos.
참여를 부탁드리겠습니다.
Olha,
The first
Xbox e até agosto e vamos ter uma semana para jogar. Oi, Bianca, tudo bom, meu anjo? Obrigado por tá assistindo. Deixa o like aí, hein? E a minha enteada, gente. A Bianca. Beijão pra você, meu anjo. Deixa eu tentar traduzir aqui um pouco disso aqui. E realmente poderia explorar por muito tempo. E tu era esse jogo. Tu era. Olha. Essa legenda aqui tá horrível, velho. Seja bem-vindo. Só isso dá pra saber. Beijo, Bia. Fica com Deus, meu anjo. Fiquem com Deus, né?
The Belfry is the player's safe haven and humanity's safe haven. The player can customize their appearance, their loadout, talk to all these different NPCs.
Repouso, já fazendo novo loop. Esse jogo feio. Ixi, esse aqui tá bem atrasado.
Towerborn is all about humanity's last chance at survival.
Humanity is clinging to hope and clinging to this tower.
It is your mission to try to hold the forces of darkness at bay, to give humanity a chance at survival.
The most important thing about the gameplay is it's just fun. And it kind of just amplified its fun the moment you added another
Pô, essa livezinha aí tá meio mais ou menos, hein? Tô achando mais ou menos. Deixa eu arrumar minha câmera aqui e levantar mais um pouco aqui. Vou levantar. Tá bem mais ou menos. Tamo junto, Bia. Beijão, hein?
In 5 years from now, it's in a place that I never even would have thought of.
It's a seasonal game, which is different for us.
Players can expect a new storyline with new quests, new biomes. We'll be rolling out new gear, new monsters, new bosses.
Expanding on the content in a continuous, organic way, so it just becomes a living world.
When we started Stoic, we decided let's just make games that we feel strongly about and we want to play. We had to find the right relationship with a publisher, and I think we found that with Xbox. They've enabled us to make the game that we want to make here. I earnestly cannot wait for the community to see the game that we're rolling out here. Towerborn is, I really believe, something unique.
Aí, Xbox Game Pass, hein? Towerborn. Olha, que jogo é esse? Fallout.
John Rush, art director for Fallout 76.
O som abaixou do nada. Fallout 76, 20 de junho. Aí tá falando do Fallout, hein?
The blue moon has risen over the hills of Appalachia, bringing with it a ton of great new content.
Lançado dia 20 de junho, aberto para o público. Vai ser uma beta, é? Ou vai ser grátis mesmo? Novos jogadores, novos críticos como Blue, que ameaça a caravana. Temos também 2 novos eventos públicos, ambos vão te dar uma chance de ganhar coisas como uma caravana ou recompensas em críticas. A partir daqui não vamos ter ondas de novas criaturas. Criaturas monstruosas. Vamos ter também muitas coisas. Uma nova temporada 13. Vamos celebrar as estrelas. Essa tela ateia e dá a chance para você de ganhar uma premiação com tema de cinema. E não é só isso. Nós, no ano que vem, vamos trazer nosso... Nossa, velho, essa legenda tá muito horrível. Game Pass, 20 de junho. Xbox Series e Steam. Aí, ó, Hi-Fi Rush. Esse joguinho é foda, velho. Muito bom. Pra quem gosta desse estilo. Estilo rítmico. Novos acessórios, novos looks. 80 vazadas muito em breve. Nós vamos avisar brevemente todas as ações. Steam, Epic, Game Pass, Xbox Series S e X. Tina Mini, diretora de broadcast e eventos do Xbox.
So here to explain that and more about the update is game director John Johannes. Welcome to Showcase Extended, John.
Really glad to be here.
Exclamation points?
They have to be in there.
Yeah. It feels
it's style. It's style. Yeah.
It's a style thing. Well, Hi-Fi Rush is such a stylish game in general. I think that's one of the things that people really excitedly pointed out when we shadow dropped the game in the developer direct earlier this year. But making a brand new IP is always a bit of a risk. Your studio's known for kind of scarier games.
Para que esse evento dure só até 3 horas para mim começar o outro do Hi-Fi do Forza Monthly.
And after I had finished working on the Evil Within 2, it just felt like the right time to try something new. And our studio has always been about just making
Eu sempre quis fazer pessoalmente, ação e música junto. Eu senti que o momento certo agora é de tentar algo novo.
An absolutely jam-packed trailer. So I'd love for your help in breaking down all the details, all the stuff going into this update.
Há muito mais conteúdo para que vai entrar. Um trailer cheio de coisas. Eu gostaria que vocês falassem sobre todos os detalhes da atualização. Tá bem atrasada a legenda.
And the other is called Power Up Tower Up, which is a new sort of randomized spin on the rhythm tower mode that we had in the original game. And included in this mode are 5 new original songs to play to, as well as 2 brand new enemies. And then there's special attacks and this whole meta system for unlocking upgrades and rewards. And that's all I can think of right now.
I love that there's so much to unpack there, but let's rewind. Let's talk about just BPM Rush for now.
Sure.
It was described in the trailer as effectively Hi-Fi Rush's equivalent of a turbo mode. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, early on, the team was like, how fast can we go? And in the game, we kind of settled at, about a max 160 BPM. But this mode really takes it up to 200 BPM. But we sort of ease you in there. It's a gradual upgrade until it eventually gets so fast, you just got to sort of think on your feet and naturally react to the rhythm in the combat of the game.
I personally love that there's a lot of accessibility settings in the game too. It makes it so that you can adjust the game to your own comfort level. But this is a post-game challenge. It's meant for when you've gotten into the rhythm of the game. So I'm curious if you have any pointers on as far as how to tackle that challenge.
As an action game, I think a lot of people want that sort of next level challenge, another way to use their abilities in a new type of environment. This mode does that by putting you at the high speed. But we also have multiple difficulties. We have an easy mode for people who want to experience what that's like, but maybe are not in tune with that sort of high difficulty that's accompanied with this stuff. But then we have a casual normal mode as well. And then we have, after beating those modes, we can unlock an EX mode, which takes up to a hard level where damage is multiplied and keeps you at that high BPM throughout the entire time.
But there already was a post-game challenge when Hi-Fi Rush launched. It was the Rhythm Tower mode. You mentioned that briefly earlier. That's the one where you face just increasingly difficult combat. So how has that evolved with the Power-Up Tower-Up mode?
So the Rhythm Tower mode was kind of like a very curated
O eventozinho tá bem mais ou menos, hein, velho?
challenging. You can prepare, go in and
Tá
sort of customize your
muito
character,
fraco, tá
know what
dando é
you're into.
sono.
And in this mode, we flip it to the almost opposite end. Chai starts off downgraded. We actually remove all your abilities, and you have to earn them back by fighting waves of randomized enemy sets. And after every wave of enemies, you get to choose from a series of power-ups that can gradually increase your stats. Each of these upgrades comes with either bonus or negative modifiers as well to the gameplay, so you can take more risks or less risks depending on which upgrades you pick. And again, those upgrades are randomized each level, so you really kind of have to have an understanding of the systems and not quite master them, but have a good grasp if you want to go in and come out on top.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, it was a really packed trailer. There was a lot of information in there. It's a chunky update. So what else have you got for us? Because I feel like there's more on the table there.
Yeah, so by playing in the two modes, you unlock these rewards through these challenges that are connected to these two modes. And in those rewards are things like accessories for Chai and new costumes for Chai 808, and even as well as fan favorite Corsica. We have new modes for the photo mode as well. Things like new filters. We have new poses for the characters. We have stickers that you can place on the photos now. And then there are some extra hidden secrets that we don't want to give away right now, which, as you know from our game, we like to hide in there and we like people to find, which is always fun. And then in conjunction with this release, we're also releasing a separate costume pack, which is a kind of take on what the characters would look like if maybe this game took place in a different time period.
Ooh, a little tease. I like that.
And there's some really fun looking stuff in
O que vocês estão achando dessa live aí, velho? Tô nem falando nada porque tá bem mais ou menos.
Super glad to be here.
That's all we have to share about the new update for Tango Gameworks' Hi-Fi Rush.
Modo foto já tinha, né? Já tinha na atualização.
To the second era of Tamriel and the Elder Scrolls Online. ZeniMax Online Studios debuted the trailer for their upcoming expansion at Showcase, and today they're here to
Temos mais update, vai ter mais dois em breve.
hear what the team has to say about the
Agora vamos falar um pouco. O trailer da equipe.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the Xbox Showcase. I'm Rich Lambert, the creative director on Elder Scrolls Online.
And I'm CJ Greb, I'm the
Não foi nada.
director for Elder Scrolls Online.
Elder Scrolls Online.
Interesting things about Elder Scrolls Online is it's different than really any other game out there. It's not your typical level-gated world. Go anywhere, you can explore in any order you want to.
You really can hop in at any moment, play with anybody, can play any part of the game.
And any story.
And of course, I mean, we're on Xbox Game Pass, you know, the biggest open world RPG on Xbox. And if you're at all a fan of Elder Scrolls, you can go places that you maybe have never gone before in Elder Scrolls.
And do things that you've never been able to do. There's so many different activities to participate in. You know,
housing.
We've got lore hunting and antiquities, right? There's the dungeons and the trials.
And you can, of course, always revisit lands that you've been to before. We've got Skyrim, Morrowind.
Yeah, and they're different times. You know, we're almost 1,000 years in the past.
Come in by yourself, come in with friends, but don't worry that you're ever not going to have something to do because there are adventures everywhere you go. We had an awesome trailer during the showcase. Necrom, Hermaeus Mora.
Yeah.
What's it all about, Rich?
Hermaeus Mora is this Daedric god of knowledge. He's not good, he's not evil. He is just focused on cataloging the world and collecting everything he possibly can to study. And what you kind of see in the trailer is
Deixar o trailer rolando aí.
always on guard, always looking over and watching what's kind of going on. And you get to see some nostalgia in there as well from the Dragonborn DLC in Skyrim with the yellow-green skies.
Vou ver aqui.
PC, the stacks of books.
I'll still never forget the first time you showed us the initial concepts for everything made out of books. I remember looking at that going, oh my god, how are we going to do this? Like, how is this going to run?
We always try to honor the past, right? Because when we go back to areas that people who play Elder Scrolls games have played, they know these lands. We want them to feel like they're coming home, right? But we have the chance to add a little into the mix.
The art team was able to really play with kind of cool, unique monsters.
Yeah, we were given some great places to go for new monsters in the zone. We were looking at making a creature that would kind of freeze you in terror as soon as you saw it, and a creature that has a deeper connection to the overall story of the zone.
We've also got the Tavani Peninsula, kind of the Morrowind vibe.
It's always fun to go back to this part of Tamriel because it's one of the most imaginative and sort of like visually expressive things that has ever been created for an Elder Scrolls world. And then, of course, Necrom City itself.
This ancient city that, you know, is rumored to have been built, you know, even before the Tribunal was even established.
Right.
Being able to play with that and look at that architecture and this ancient city of the dead.
And you guys gave us a new class to do.
The Arcanist draws their powers from Hameas Mora. We really challenged ourselves and the team to make something that didn't feel like anything else that we have built.
Everything we've been talking about sounds amazing, but when do we actually get to play it?
Necrom launches on Xbox June 20th, and we can't wait for everybody to get in there and see this amazing content that we've created.
Thanks, everyone, for watching us during the showcase and watching us today.
Tá fraco esse evento, hein?
Coming for ESO in the future. We'll see you in Tamriel.
O futuro. Fasmofobia. Ah, vai ser para console, né? Agosto de 2023. Extra Primal. Exo Primal.
エグゾプライマルディレクターの平岡です。まずはじめに3月に開催しました第1回オープンベータテストに多くのエグゾファイターの皆様にご参加いただきました。アンケートや SNS を通じてたくさんのフィードバックをいただいております。今後の開発に活用させていただきます。ご協力ありがとうございました。さて、カプコンショーケースはご覧いただけましたでしょうか。その中で発表しましたが、第2回オープンベータテストの開催が決定しました。詳しい日程や情報は公式サイトをご覧ください。それではここからは番組をご覧の皆様に新情報を紹介します。まずはサベージガントレットという新たなモードです。サベージガントレットは内容が毎週切り替わる特別なミッションに5人で挑む世界中のファイターとクリアタイムを競うというモードになっています。ディノサバイバルとは違い、出現する恐竜やフィールドが遊ぶたびには変化せず、全世界のプレイヤーが同じ内容のミッションに挑みます。今回は恐竜が出現する位置にあらかじめトリプルスレッドを設置しています。出現してきたらこのようにスカイウェーブのグラビトンケージと合わせて起爆、一網打尽にできました。 ミッションは画面上部に表示されている
Dinossauros aparecem.
サベージガントレットでは目標以外の恐竜が出現することが少なくありません。
Aparecem nos sistemas, a equipe trabalha com dinossauros. O objetivo é eliminar os dinossauros. Óbvio, né? Já aparece na tela e outros dinossauros também vão aparecer. Então os jogadores não têm que eliminar as outras ameaças, mas se conseguirem, isso vai tornar o jogo mais fácil.
なるほど。スナイパーネオ層が離れた位置に多く出現するのでビジラントに着替えたようですね。フレームネオ層も出現するのでフロストロックで動きを止めて集中攻撃のチャンスも作り出せますね。また一列に並んだ恐竜もブレードで足止めしてから倒す作戦のようです。道中では大型恐竜が複数体出現することも。サベージガントレットはエンドコンテンツに相当するモードなので基本的にはミッションの難易度は高く設定されています。モジュールの強化、組み合わせはもちろんチームメンバーのスーツ構成などよく考えて挑んでみてください。サベージガントレットをクリアするとこのようにクリアタイムが表示されます。その後自分のクリアタイムがどの程度だったかランクによる評価がされます。次はバリアントスーツを紹介します。バリアントスーツはデフォルトのエグゾスーツとは異なる性質の武器を装備しており戦い方が変化したスーツです。デフォルトのデッドアイはアサルトライフルを装備していますがデッドアイはバーストファイヤーはショットガンとバースト射撃を切り替えられる
Parece interessante, né? Mas deve ser legal com o co-op, né?
射撃を切り替えながら戦います。他のバリアントスーツも特別にちょっとだけ
Mas tá no Game Pass, a gente joga, né?
エナジーチャクラン、バラージュアルファ、ロケットホップ、ビジラントアルファ、マークスマン、ロードブロックアルファ、フォートレスキーズ、村雨アルファ、フロストグレイブ、フリーガーアルファ、チャージショットガン、リッチドクターアルファ、デュアリティビーム。
Você pode matar inimigos diferentes. O choque pode matar inimigos diferentes.
Nimbus Alpha, Double Barrel. バリアントスーツは発売後のタイトルアップデートで遊べるようになります。エグゾプライマルは発売後も定期的にアップデートを行っていきます。シーズンごとに新たなゲームコンテンツを追加していきますのでご期待ください。 本日はありがとうございました。
Obrigado por assistir.
ゲームでお会いしましょう。レッツマッシブ。
Exoprimal Game Pass 14 de julho de 2023. Passar a bonde.
And how they're building Exoprimal in partnership with the community. Gaming has the power to immerse us in worlds and perspectives we'd never otherwise experience. We can fight dinosaurs, transport to a dystopian future, explore the universe, and conjure magic. And we get to do this together, no matter where we are on the planet, the language we speak, what we look like, or our physical abilities. That is why it is both an absolute imperative and an incredible opportunity that games represent all of us. That is why we created the ID at Xbox Developer Acceleration Program to help underrepresented creators and stories in the industry shine. We call it DAP. DAP already includes more than 100 emerging developers, and they've launched 30 incredible games like A Space for the Unbound, Validate, and HOA. And there are many, many more in the works. Let's take a look at these amazing games coming up next from ID at Xbox's Developer Acceleration Program.
call from my good friend Jorg Newman, the head of Microsoft Flight Simulator. He told me about this once-in-a-lifetime
falar do Flight Simulator 2024.
opportunity. So I'm here in Budapest, the capital of Hungary. Jorg, he's around here somewhere. Let's go find him. Jorg!
Hey, Paris. It's great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you.
Thanks for coming to Budapest.
Of course. What am I doing here?
I'll tell you on the way. We have a boat to catch.
A boat?
Yep.
We don't have a plane?
Nope.
Capital da Hungria. Paris, muito bom te ver. Seja bem-vindo a Budapeste. Olha só, vamos lá. Vamos pegar um barco.
Jorg, what is this place? What kind of aircraft are you storing in here?
Ha, dude, it's much cooler than that. All right, Paris, are you ready for this?
You know I'm ready for this.
All right, let's go. Welcome to the world of Dune.
This is incredible.
Come on, I want you to meet someone. Hey, how's it going?
How are you, man?
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Paris, I would like to introduce Patrice Vermette, Academy Award-winning production designer of Dune.
It is very nice to meet you. I'm a huge fan of Dune. Now, Patrice, can you tell me what is this place?
Well, this is the warehouse where we actually keep most of the props and the set deck elements that we used on Dune Part 1 and Part 2.
Now, Jorg, how did all this get started?
So it goes back to November 2021. Dune had just hit the movie theaters worldwide, and we got a call from Legendary, and they had the idea that we bring an ornithopter into Microsoft Flight Simulator. And me being a lifelong science fiction reader and fan, a big, huge fan of the Frank Herbert books, how could I say no?
Okay, now it makes sense after seeing the trailer at the Xbox showcase. I understand why you brought me here.
You guys want to take a look? Because we actually do have a couple of ornithopters here if you want to see. You want to take a look?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Look at this. It's a one-on-one real-sized ornithopter. It's amazing.
Sure, thank you. Denis likes things to be plausible, so that's why they were built to look military, rugged, and stealth.
Now, here's the most important question. Were they built to fly?
Funny you mentioned, because I've been asked that question on a couple of occasions. No, they don't fly. They are heavy. They're 11 tons.
So, Jorg, you had to get this working in the game. How did you do this in Flight Sim?
Yeah, it was actually interesting. So,
Uai, internet você me pergunta isso?
Can
Porque eles
fly
não,
and do fly. This particular
não
one,
voam.
given that it weighs 11 tons, that's going to be a little bit harder, specifically because it's not really doing the ornithopter bird flap. It does oscillation of the blades, and we currently don't have the material science to get the thrust and the lift.
Mas ele tem 11 toneladas. Ele não consegue bater as asas.
Can we go in?
Absolutely.
Right.
Let's do it. Normally we'd go in through the climbing up the landing gear, but this will do.
Yeah, so what's cool about this, Paris, is that all those buttons are actually realistically hooked up to the system. Master engine switch, what you're doing there, above those, the red, are basically all the lights.
And as you notice, it's all analog because in the world of Dune, there's no thinking machines. Thinking machines have been illegal for 10,000 years.
Yeah, that was actually fascinating when we implemented it. Because it's a science fiction, we thought, oh, it's glass cockpits, everything is going to be computerized. Like, none of it. This is a very practical helicopter, almost like from the 1960s.
So, Jorg, in the first movie, the founder was able to do a lot of cool moves and maneuvers. You're going to be able to reproduce that in Flight Sim?
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, the really cool design that you guys came up with is each blade is independently controlled. So each blade has its own lift and thrust. And that means it can go from a really stable hover to a steep dive and back to a glide instantaneously. I would just say thank you that you designed such an awesome and realistic machine, because that's what we do. We bring realistic machines to life. But if you want to see a little bit more about the game design,
Absolutely.
I have something for you.
Absolutely, I'd love to see.
All right, so the setup for this expansion is that you are a Atreides pilot on Arrakis flying an ornithopter. Here is what we built. We basically built this section of Arrakis. Here's the capital city of Arkin. Here's a botanical garden, we have that as well. And the first thing we do is we train you up. The fast takeoff, fast landing, and then the deep dive. And then we take you to some of the extreme locations, like the bow of the cliff, the hole in the rock, the red chasm. You really have to show your pilot skills. And then, towards the end, then there's a secret mission, which I can't talk about today, but that basically wraps up the experience. It's gonna be great.
Super exciting. Hey.
It was great to see you again.
Darius, thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. All right, Jorg, where to next?
Well, I don't know what they eat on Arrakis, but this is Budapest, and I hear they have excellent goulash. I know a place.
Well, let's go.
A expansão vai ser no 3 de novembro, né?
Lies of P is a thrilling Souls-like that takes the story of Pinocchio, turns it on its head, and sets it against the darkly elegant backdrop of the Belle Époque era.
Finally, we meet.
You are awakened by a mysterious voice.
Forza Motorsport está conversando, hein, galera? Força
You must
Monthly.
adapt yourself and your weapons to face untold horrors, untangle the unfathomable secrets of the city's elites, and choose whether to confront predicaments with the truth
Vou continuar aqui por
or
enquanto,
weave
né?
lies to overcome them on the journey to find yourself.
Falta 2 minutos, em ponto.
You are able to create your own weapon through the combination of these blades and handles. Of the hundreds of possible combinations with different respective appearances, performances, attack motions, and patterns, each and every blade and handle has its distinctive Fable Arts. Fable Arts is a special combat skill that can be casted by consuming Fable slots. Fable slots can be charged again through combat. Select your own special skills to vanquish your enemies. The Legion Arm is a prosthetic on P's left arm. The Legion Arm can exhibit special abilities by consuming the Legion Gauge, providing you an eclectic combat experience. So, puppets are all there are? I highly doubt that. You'll have to face all sorts of monsters, puppets only being one of them. You're not quite done yet. Bone-chilling bosses await you. If a boss seems too intimidating, you might want to get help from a specter. In boss matches, you can summon a specter that will assist you in battle. With a bit of help, you will be able to defeat bosses with more ease. The P organ is a system that allows you to upgrade your character. Use quartz to optimize P to your liking. Within the P organ, you can select which slots to unlock depending on your preference. There will be times when you will be confronted with choices where you can give comfort to others in sorrow or despair by lying, or you can choose to tell the truth. Carve your own path. Meet Liza P on Xbox One, Xbox Series, and Game Pass, coming to you this September 19th.
E aí, galera, rapidinho.
At the heart of Hellblade is
Pronto.
our ambition to sync you.
A proper rig for this. So we had a platform which could be moved in any number of ways to create that kind of pitch and yaw and roll that you would get on the ocean. And we got our actors up onto this boat and captured scene with high waves and a storm, and we got incredible data from really, really amazing. The most important part of my role is to make sure that story gets told. And having these wonderful actors we're working with bring their talents to bear on these characters has been such
nada de Hellblade, hein?
My name's Larry Herb, Xbox's Major Nelson. Welcome to FanFest. I'm excited to be here. Here we go. Let's roll that video.
Honestly, I've never felt so good to be part of Xbox in my life. I'm just wandering around, I've been talking to people, and everybody is so excited about what's to come.
We really put a lot of emphasis on empowering creative risk, and there's so much excitement for what we're going to be able to deliver going into 2024, and even games in 2024 that we haven't talked about yet. So our mission, our strategy is to bring the joy of gaming to everybody, no matter where they want to play, how they want to play. And I just feel, a real responsibility, a real privilege, excitement that we get to be the ones to build those games that are going to be at the center of no matter what we do.
I'm Sebastian, and I'm the community manager for Light Your Frontier. Today, I'll be playing with Kelly, Anita, and Carolina to explore the new multiplayer features Light Your Frontier has to offer. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today, we should continue building up the base we started yesterday. We'll need more resources, and it'll be faster if we work together to collect them. Can two of you work on that?
Yeah, let's go. Go.
Hey, that purple mech looks great.
Thanks. It's my favorite color.
Dang, the farm looks pretty good with all the grown crops.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm looking forward to making the farm even bigger.
I'm gonna work on making our home look a little bit better, and then I'll come down and help you out.
Great. I'll see you in a bit then.
What do you want to focus on gathering, you think?
I can get wood to start with, and then you can help me get some aluminum.
I'll get some stone also then. That should cover a lot of what we need for crafting and building. Once we've finished, let's head back and help with the buildings.
Resupply to the rescue!
How's it going up there?
I think I've got a good idea of what I want things to look like from up here.
Nice.
Oh, there's so many good choices.
I know, right?
Oof. But I think that looks good.
Can't wait to see it.
There are loads of aluminium here. They're actually pretty strong, so we can do it faster if we both drill.
Let's work together and see what else we can find here. After we bring this back, I'll take a look in some other regions to see what materials they have.
I'm done up here, so I'll come join ya.
Oh, my inventory is getting full from this harvest. I think we should build some, silos or crates to store it all.
Yeah, we should probably build a fence around those two as well so we can protect the harvest.
Great idea. Let's get on it.
Here we go. I'll help with the silos next.
Yo, anyone need materials? Because we got a ton of stuff.
Yes, please. Oh my gosh.
Fantastic.
Do you want us to start helping you build?
Yes, please, please, please.
All on it.
what do you think of the layout?
Yeah, it looks great to me.
I'm almost done with the fences here.
Hey, everyone! I was going for more materials and I found some ruins over there.
Really?
Jump in your mechs and come see this.
Oh, wow, what is this? Oh, look at that.
This is so cool.
That door is huge. Wow.
I wonder what's inside, though.
Tomorrow we should totally find a way to open this. Let's head back to the base and see what we can do.
Just follow my instructions.
Welcome.
Galera, bora passar aqui pro o Monthly aqui que tá melhor, pô.
Experience and is your gateway to find cars to fall in love with. This is the Built for Sports series. It's made up of modern sports car masterpieces like the new Supra, as you can see, the Porsche Cayman GTS.
Aqui tá atrasadaço. Deixa eu ver aqui. Caralho, olha o som do...
And as much as I'd like to watch this, we only have a short time here, so let's go ahead and finish up the race. So here are the race results, where you get to see your series points that lead into the overall trophy for the series. But you also get to see how you're doing in the overall Built for Sport Racing series. You get your driver XP here, your credits payout, and your car XP. After every event in the Builders Cup, you have a chance to build up your car and continue your journey with it. And you can see here, we just unlocked a number of upgrades that you can go and install in your car. So let's actually go and check out our new car building screen. Cars in the new Forza Motorsport are built, not bought. Your bond with your car is earned. It's the work you've put in to find its limits. As your car levels up, it gains car points and unlocks upgrades. Here, up in the top right, you can see your car points, and that's the resource that's used to install any of the upgrades that you've unlocked. Car points are like skill or talent points in other games. You can allocate them to install a part, but here's the thing. You aren't locked into any of those choices at any time. You can easily uninstall a part and regain those car points so you can use those points elsewhere. It's like being able to endlessly respec a character. This gives the player a great amount of agency in building experimentation. Also, since you aren't spending credits on upgrades, the Built Not Bought system frees you from having to decide between, say, buying a cool new car or upgrading your current car. Now with these upgrades installed, we can go to the next event and see how this car build feels on the next track and get ready to dominate. And that's a single event in the Builders Cup. So you got to see our open practice, where you find the limits of your car and level it up. A new Challenge the Grid feature, where you can dial in the racing challenge that you want. And of course, our featured race, where the racing has never been better. And finally, our car building, where your car is built, not bought. That's the new Forza Motorsport loop. Level, build, dominate. And the Builders Cup is just a small part of this big game. We have an all-new featured multiplayer mode, Rivals, Time Attack, and of course Free Play all make the return to the game. And we'll be diving into the details of these other modes in the months to come, so stay tuned. The new era of Forza Motorsport begins on October 10th, and we can't wait for you to get your hands on it. Thanks, everyone.
Right.
Go. That was our gameplay walkthrough of the Builders Cup, the new single-player career mode in Forza Motorsport. Such an incredible demo, and it will be posted to the Forza YouTube after the show, so you can rewatch it as many times as you'd like. Now, Chris, between all of the new gameplay features and the gameplay, the Builders Cup is like a reinvention of the Forza Motorsport experience, right? And there's a lot to unpack there. So over the past few days, you've been sharing the single-player demo with press and leaders from the community, and there are quite a few topics that have come up that players might be interested in. So why don't we talk a little bit about those, and then we can talk a bit more about detail about what to expect from the gameplay experience.
Yeah, that sounds great. Works for me.
All right, excellent. So let's get into it. Can you tell us a bit more about how monetization works in Forza Motorsport?
Could you start with an easier question?
Difficult questions first.
Yeah, let's just dive right into that one. So similar to the offerings we've had for recent games in the Forza franchise, we'll have a premium edition of the game available with a bunch of add-ons for players, you know, just like car packs and car pass. So in addition to these things that players can buy, we'll be regularly adding new cars and tracks to the game for free after launch. Also, we aren't selling car upgrade points or credits. There are no random drops or loot boxes, so cars and upgrades are all earned by your play, other than those car pass and car pack cars.
Okay, all right, sounds fair to me. Thank you for those details. And I don't think the questions get much easier, so I'm sorry. But the next question is around online connectivity. So what are your thoughts around how this shows up in Forza Motorsport?
Getting the tough stuff out of the way.
Just do that first.
Okay, the game has been designed to easily adjust and add new content over time. And that's really to ensure a fair and secure experience anywhere in the game. So any progression in the game will be stored on our servers to support the integrity of the overall game experience. And there are options for playing offline. So things like free play is always available, but any progression requires an online connection.
Okay, and we will have much more to say about the free play experience later this summer.
Tô lá cá, galera. Tô lá cá.
But next, let's move on to the gameplay experience, because I absolutely love RPG games, and this idea of like leveling up your favorite cars to unlock new upgrades, it really stood out to me in the video. It's quite unique. So can you tell me more about how the car progression works in Forza Motorsport?
Yeah. Got a little taste of it there in the video, and this is truly the new heart of Forza Motorsport. Car mastery is this heart of Forza Motorsport, and it powers both the career mode in the game as well as every other mode in the game. Before I go too deep there, I think it's good to provide a little context and step back and look at the previous generations of motorsport. So Forza Motorsports 1 through 7 really leaned heavily on things like car collection.
Tô lá cá, galera.
Really prove out and give that player the sense of falling in love with cars.
Yeah.
And we love that. We thought it was great. And that was actually what I consider is the previous era of motorsport. This new era of motorsport is really about car progression and car mastery. And you saw the car progression systems. It's a bit like an RPG where
lá parece tá aparecendo o fio lá.
You're defeating enemies as corners, gaining XP for them, and leveling your car up and unlocking new parts. And every car is kind of like a character or a hero in the game.
Acabou.
This really is a new and super fun and rewarding gameplay loop. And I do want to reiterate.
Bora passar pro
we have an incredibly accurate simulation underneath the
Forza Montreal.
And of course you can play this on wheel and gamepad and all feels great. The cars
o eventozinho do showcase foi mais ou menos.
It's a truly deep simulation.
Tá fazendo uma capa
but there's
aqui.
this new game layer on top of it, which is about pushing you to your limits and pushing you to find the limits of the car. That's the new car mastery system, and we've just gamified that whole loop of feeling great to just drive the car to its limits, feel these new physics, and really just love the car because it's just feels so great to drive.
Yeah.
And you saw some of these other things. Oh yeah, levels, they unlock new upgrades and parts and upgrades for you. They give you car points, so it's this new resource, right? So instead of spending credits on the upgrades, you're actually unlocking these car points to spend and reallocate as you wish. So, so it's a whole new system, it's a whole new economy. And once again, it is the new era of motorsport. It's a very different system, but it's super fun.
Is there like a max level you can get to with each car?
Yeah, currently the max level of cars is 50. Okay. And you know, it takes around a couple hours, maybe 3 hours, depending on how well you drive, to reach that max level. That doesn't mean that you the parts that you're looking for or the upgrades you're looking for are locked behind level 50. But it unfurls in front of you when we really want this whole system to be about understanding what that car was, what it was designed to feel like, just right off the showroom floor. So you get a chance to build that relationship, know its in and outs, understand how each car has incredibly different characteristics, even though they may have similar PI or performance. Every car feels so nuanced and different because of all these new physics. That you're going to get to know those cars, level them up, and really feel like you've built a bond with them over time.
Right, and you can like level up in like multiplayer and then free play. And
yeah,
rivals.
yeah. Like I said, it is the heart of the new game.
Yeah.
It's not just in the career mode, it's not just in single player. So anywhere in the game that you're playing, anytime you're in the seat of a car, it's leveling up, it's gaining experience. So that's the multiplayer modes, that's in free play, that's in rivals, that's in, of course, the career mode here. So the core of the game is now getting into a car, they start at level 1, and you're just building that level of car mastery and that bond with every car that you're in and every second that you're in it with it.
Great, and then you can bring them into Builder's Cup and continue your journey.
No, absolutely,
well.
yeah, that's a really good point. So I think some people have, in these press demos that we were given, some of them were asking, oh, well, can I bring a car that I leveled in, say, free play or in multiplayer into Builder's Cup? And the answer is absolutely. And there's a lot of details here. We have both the car groupings that you saw, like the Built for Sports series. That's a select set of cars that has a specific automotive story, and we want you to experience that. But we also have some open class racing that you can, hey, you've leveled up a car, you want to take into the B class racing or an A class racing. Those series are there as well, so your journey can continue with any of those cars. And additionally, like, hey, maybe you played it in a Rivals event, or maybe you played it in multiplayer and leveled the car up. You can bring those cars, if they're available in the Builder's Cup, you can bring those leveled cars into them.
Amazing. It's your car.
Yeah.
It's your experience. You are bringing it with you the whole way, which is really awesome. And many Forza fans, I'm sure if you're watching, you're already quite familiar with how each individual part affects the car. However, in the video, we see that there's a lot of changes to the upgrade screen. So what should car builders look out for in particular here?
Yeah, I mentioned there's a lot of new here. So, so forgive me for diving in some of these details. There's so much new. And there's a lot of, I think, player expectations around, oh, it should work like this, or it used to work like that. There's so many new systems. Everything has been reimagined and rethought. So bear with me on some of these details. So yeah, every car starts at level 1. And as you level it up, specific parts and part categories, rather than like specific parts, but part categories, like say exhaust or camshafts or something like that, the part category will unlock at specific levels. And all cars have the same parts unlocking at the same level. So whether it's a Cadillac Series V-Series.R or whether it's a humble grocery getter, every level will unlock the same part categories for you to go and mess with and experiment with. So even though those part categories are all unlocked at the same levels across all of the different cars, each car is going to have its own journey because some cars have other parts that certain cars don't. For example, of course, a rotary engine is not going to have camshaft upgrades. But you can understand this is all simulated, and so these details all play out, and each individual car is going to have its own.
Oi, meu amor. Tudo bem? Boa tarde. Te mandei a mensagem, você viu? Eu te mandei a mensagem.
And then how do you track that? Like, is there a way to see like the balance of everything you've added together?
Also, yeah, I think some of you may have noticed, yes, it's a new upgrade screen. And one of the elements there was something we call a spider graph, and that was on the right side. And it gives you these different elements of things like braking and handling, cornering, that sort of thing, to really start to understand what your car is balanced towards. And over time, I think players will start to understand this as kind of a footprint or fingerprint, if you will, of how you like cars to drive or how you like them to handle and behave. So maybe it's a really well-balanced graph, or maybe it's really dialed in on straight line performance. And you'll see that on this graph grow and shift over time, and so you can see how your car is changing over time. But more importantly, this is a good aid to help players really understand how all these things are changing the car. It's an incredibly deep simulation, as I was saying. So yeah, you could spend so many hours just trying to figure out how to dial in all these different options you have.
Amazing. And then, you know, there'll be different components for each car, right? Like you've got the street component or the sport version of it, and you've got to unlock each part individually, right?
Right. Well, not specifically each part, but definitely the part categories, right? So you'll unlock the different levels of, say, the exhaust all at the same time. So the exhaust has been unlocked, and that gives you a lot more leeway and options to really dial in that level of performance that you're looking for there.
Okay. Well, next we're going to talk about PI. Now, first we're going to explain what PI actually is for people who might be newer to Forza. And then we're going to talk about if you've made any adjustments to how PI works in Forza Motorsport.
Yeah, PI is a really core thing to Forza. It really helps you get a good idea of how this car performs, basically the lap time that this car will have. So the lower a PI is, the slower a car's lap time or projected lap time is going to be. The higher ones are going to be faster on the track. The PI system is still there. For the Builders Cup career mode, we really are leaning heavily on the PI system to help us balance and progress players through it. So each racing series has its own progression of PI. So one racing series may start at around an average of, say, 300 PI, and you'll build upwards progressively through each race to, say, maybe a 500 PI. And you'll get to stepwise go through each of those changes as the car unfolds in front of you and is now a much faster car at the end of it. And similarly, maybe you start at 400 and work your way to 550 or 600 in a certain racing series. PI is there to help you kind of balance this all out and understand what you're building towards. So once again, this is the Builders Cup. And we're really encouraging players to experiment and try different things out, but it's all balanced with this PI system. So you're you're building towards a PI target in every race.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's 350, sometimes it's 375, sometimes it's 700. And it allows you to really think about, oh, I've got all these options, and now I can figure exactly how I want to try this out to meet that PI limit.
Yeah, because you've got like a guideline, and then it's up to you how you want to build towards that guideline.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things that I think this new career mode that people will start understanding is the level of replayability in the game. And you know, I think a lot of people know I love watching Twitch. I spend way too much time watching it, and you, by the way. And a lot of the things that people do is replay games, and they do challenge runs or fun runs or that sort of thing. Well, we have this whole new car progression system, so you can imagine I'm going to play the Built for Sport series again, but I'm not going to level or spend more points than blah, or I'm going to do a level 1 run, or that kind of thing, right? So you can challenge yourself again across all of the whole career mode to dial in exactly the level of racing challenge that you want, whether you want it to be full simulation with damage and tire wear and fuel settings and all that sort of thing and necessary pit stops, or you could just turn all that off and just have a really fun race and have shorter experiences where you're not really worried about all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool, because I mean, here on Forza Monthly, we do a lot of community spotlights. We talk to community members, and a lot of those people are streamers, and they love setting challenges for themselves, for the communities, and like having something new to do, something new to achieve, something it's like a new game plus kind of thing.
Nope, exactly, exactly.
That's amazing. So let's talk about maybe players who don't want to manually select upgrades, because you know, it could be maybe quite overwhelming if you're like, what does that even do? How is that going to affect what I'm doing? I just don't know what to pick. Is there like an option to upgrade automatically?
Yeah, well, the short answer is yes. We have an easy button. you can auto upgrade. And just a quick note on that. Yeah, the auto upgrade, what it does is it tries to optimize for a balanced build. So it's going to try to, like I talked about the spider graph, it's going to try to balance that build out and not push you in one direction or another. really what that means is your car is always going to have a level of drivability as it progresses, rather than like, oh, it's all just straight line speed and torque, and now people are like, oh, well, I can't handle this anymore, right?
Yep.
The auto build is really there to help you explore how cars can unfold over time with the deep upgrade system. So, you know, this is one of the great things about this system is that we've always had a deep simulation. Forza's always had an incredible car building and deep simulation for the game. But a lot of the times, it hasn't really been not only deeply integrated into the career mode, but more importantly, it's hard to get into it. There's a lot of barriers of entry for players to understand the depth there. It can be intimidating, right? Especially if you're a novice with cars and don't even know what a camshaft is, right? So this system, because we have this auto build function, like, boom, you can click that button, and it starts to let you know, oh, here's what has been installed. And then you can, as a player, if you want to dive in a little bit deeper into the simulation, start to unpack, okay, well, they installed this part. What does that part actually do? Why did they install that? And then you can read about it, learn more about it, and maybe even uninstall it, and then see how it changes the car here and there.
Right.
And so that's really a big part of this loop. You know, you put all these different parts on, what's going on? Well, how did the car change? You go to open practice, and then you check this all out, and then maybe you didn't like to put this air filter on or these new tires on, and it just completely changed the car in a way you didn't want it to.
Right.
Go back and rebuild your car and get back on open practice and try it out again.
And combined with like the enhanced physics and everything, you can actually really feel the effect of everything.
Everything. Yeah, and you know, a quick note, because I think our our audio guys will appreciate that, and they always kick me to promote the amazing work that they've done. So it's not just this deep simulation that's affecting just car performance and how it handles and that thing, which is amazing. There's so much deep stuff there. But one of the great things that we've done with the audio system is that every part that could change the audio in your car will now change the audio in your car, and they all interact separately. So if you put, say, new camshafts, we just talked about that, a new air filter, some new exhaust, all of those things will work together. Each of those components will change the sound of your car, but now those together has a unique sound. So every upgrade that has an audible effect, as detailed as that is, will change the audio of your car. And I think that's super, super cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, full central experience. To pay attention to every single thing. It's just like driving in real life, you know, paying attention to
it is a deep
that weird clunk in your car. Maybe slightly more intentioned. But I do think it's really cool that with the automatic upgrades, it does kind of allow you to reverse engineer. Like if you were newer to the game and you're like, what is that doing? And then you can, like, you know, as you say, you go back and you look at each part and you're like, why is that there? Maybe I like the feeling of more torque, so maybe I need to add a different component.
So for me, deep gameplay is why I play games. That is what I look for. And one of the things with Forza Motorsport is we've always had this deep simulation, but I think in a lot of ways we've tried to kind of wave our hands around it. And yeah, we've always had an accessible game. We've always had an approachable game. We have incredible assists. We always do, and we're doing some groundbreaking work there as well. But that core layer of gameplay is what I've always wanted from Forza Motorsport. And we've had it, but it hasn't been celebrated in this way. And I think this whole new system really allows players to understand the deep gameplay that we have, each part being that critical to changing the details of how the car feels on the track. And that just opens up, once players realize that and feel it and start to understand these things, oh, you're going to be playing the game for a long time. It's going to be great.
It sounds really in-depth. It's very exciting. Okay, well, we're going to talk about one of your favourite topics, because we've talked about it a lot on Forza Monthly every time I've interviewed. I wonder what it could be. Because we noticed that tyre compounds and fuel loads are actually new to the game. So what more can you tell us about those?
Yeah, we've had different tire compounds and fuel in the past, but this time around, we've just really gone deep in both the simulation of it and the gameplay of it. So yeah, tires and fuel matter. We're going to go really deep into the featured multiplayer version of this later this year, where tires and fuel actually matter a whole lot more, and you really can't opt into it. It's just part of the core experience. But in the single-player Builders Cup career, you can opt into whichever level of simulation that you want. So you can dial in full simulation during the Builders Cup, where you have We even have racing regulations in the game now in single player. So if you want regulation systems on where you're getting penalties for bumping into other cars and they're getting penalties for bumping into you or running you off the road, you can turn that on.
Wow.
You can turn on full simulation damage. You can turn rewinds off. You can do things like turn the tire and fuel simulation on or off. You can go full simulation and have that career experience. You can dial that out and also kind of have a more, less of a fully simulated experience. So you can just kind of find that right spot for you.
Yeah.
So if you want to care about tires and fuel, hey, we got you.
Yeah.
If you don't really want to worry about that complexity and really just are trying to master the car, great. You can dial that in too.
Excellent. Just choice, more freedom
Absolutely.
for how you want to play, which is always a good thing about games. So something players have been really wondering about are what sort of cars you actually start with in the Builders' Cup. So do you start with, best of the best supercar, or are you starting with like a everyday, let's say, grocery getter before progressing to the faster car?
Yeah, so one of the things that our community has been asking for a really, really long time is we want progression.
Mm-hmm.
We want to start in slow cars and then work our ways to faster cars and then faster cars. And we are not only doubling down on that, but tripling down on this whole notion of progression. So we've talked to death already about the car progression, starting from a stock car and leveling up and building it. But that is in itself taking a car, however slow or fast that car is, taking that on a journey of progression. We have that whole journey of slower cars to faster cars in every tour in the game. So you'll start a little bit slower and then work your way through faster cars in sort of a theme. That's what all these different racing series are bunched into these different tours. So you're going to go have an overarching tour experience where you're starting in a little bit slower cars and then building your way up to faster cars in the series. But within each series as well, you're having that same progression of starting slower and getting faster. So you're not just seeing that, and you're doing it race by race, right? So it's not just that, I'm starting my entire career with this slow vintage hot hatch and working my way to a supercar, and that is the career. That's not the career. The career is car progression all over the place. And it doesn't matter if it's a slow car, a medium car, a fast car. They all have progression. So at the micro level, at the meta level, and everything in between, all of that is car progression.
Okay.
And so I think when players are now like, oh, yeah, I've always wanted car progression, we're giving it to you
in spades.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, you asked for it. Here you go. All right, thank you. Well, let's talk about a few other things then, because there are many new concepts in the Builders' Cup career mode, like Challenge the Grid, as we saw in the video, which happens before players start the featured race and allows players to sort of increase the difficulty to earn more rewards and to customize the overall racing to their liking as well, and keep repeating bits, which is cool. So can you tell us more about how this new system works?
Yeah, there's a lot of new here again, and so Challenge the Grid is a really cool innovation for us. And we've always had these risk-reward systems. We've had things like mods in the past, or recently we've done things like reward you for turning off assists. So we would have credit scalars if you say went from ABS on to ABS off, or that sort of thing. Now, we got rid of all of those credit scalars on assists. And this is because we want players to basically play at the skill and ability level that they have. If you need to have, we have blind driving assist now. We have even a one-button mode, so you can say, hey, let the AI do everything for you except for, say, working the accelerator. You can play the game this way. And we don't want to punish you for doing that. We want to just let you play at your level and then start exploring mastering cars, really get into that whole thing around falling in love with cars. So we didn't want to penalize you for using any of the assists in the game. I actually play with ABS on all the time now. Our ABS system is fantastic. And it's because it's not about rewarding you for turning off assists. What we are rewarding you for doing is challenging yourself. And that's really what Challenge the Grid is all about. You can say, I want faster AI to race against. I want simulation damage and fuel and tires and all those things. And when you turn that complexity on, that's when you're getting rewarded, right? That challenge level of the difficulty of the game. That's really where all the credit scalars are now. So Challenge the Grid puts all of that at your fingertips. All of those options are right there on that screen. And what I find really cool is that you can do that at every race. So every time you're about to go into a race, you've gone through that open practice session where you've really gotten to know, okay, the car, I feel pretty confident about the car this time, or maybe I don't feel confident at all. And you're like, cool, I'm gonna risk it for the biscuit. I'm gonna go and put myself in 24th and go after that purse. And even dial up the AI difficulty at the same time. And so every race, you can now change all of these things. It's a little bit gamified. It's fun, as you said. And now you can, it's just dialing in that exact level of risk, reward, and challenge, right, that you want every race. And I think that's really super cool.
I mean, that's something I noticed watching the video there, was that gamification where you do have that challenge and you do have the reward of the challenge that you've added to yourself, but you're competing against your baseline and not everybody else's baseline. And you can choose to not do that. If you want to just purely enjoy the simulation driving experience, you can not do the gamification.
Absolutely.
And that's really cool. Well, we have talked about car building and progression, and we've talked about Challenge the Grid, which brings us to the main event, the featured race. So what changes will players feel in the wheel-to-wheel action?
So in the video, I think you saw our new AI at work, and I'm really proud of the incredible work that we've done here. We've completely rewritten the AI code. So we're calling it the Drivatar system because there's a lot of the Drivatar stuff, or the sociality of your friends' cars and their liveries and all that stuff coming in. So that's what's carrying forward in this new kind of Drivatar system. But the actual driving on track, how they're behaving, it's all new. All of that is new. And it's powered by machine learning. So we have a completely new controller in the game. And what I mean by that is our AI is now learning to drive the car. That means like steering, accelerating, braking, shifting. It's understanding car dynamics. And it is now just driving better because of that. And so on the back end, we have the fastest lines now possible. They have the mathematically fastest lines around the track, and they can drive as fast as our fastest drivers. So without any cheats, without any hacks, there's no rubber banding, there's nothing like that in the game. So when you're driving, it's like driving against real players.
Right.
And you can dial in that exact level of challenge you're looking for.
And you get to learn from them as well.
No, absolutely.
Because you're like, I can replicate that driving because it's real driving.
Yeah, and I think for me, I've had some of the most immersive racing that I've ever had in a motorsport game because of the system. Because they're braking exactly where I expect them to brake. And so I don't get falsely maybe brake checked, or I feel like they're trying to push me off the track because they're encroaching on my line. Or you know, I can anticipate what they would do normally because they're driving honestly. They're using the same physics I am. There's no additional grip or torque, so I don't feel like, oh, well, I really felt like I outdrove them during that corner, but why are they pulling away from me now? For me, that breaks the immersion in the game. We don't have any of that anymore. The AI, if you set it to the highest level, I can't even, there's no, I am not an alien driver, so I cannot compete at that level. You know, our top drivers, you know, we've been working with, I think people know Race Boy for a long time. He is a great example of one of our fastest drivers. Yeah, he cannot beat those guys if you put him in the back of the field, or if you put him one-on-one. They're just neck and neck the whole time. So if you really want to challenge yourself to be some of the fastest drivers in the world, you can actually dial that in. Now, I personally don't race at that level. I think we have 7 new levels of AI difficulty. I drive at a 5 or 6, depending on a good day. But 7, that's right out. So anyway, that's just the AI. That's the first thing. So AI is just super engaging and super immersive now. Our physics, okay, here we go. Because I'm going to be talking about tires and everything. Yeah. So I said at the top, we have an incredibly accurate simulation. It's the most accurate our simulation has ever been. Everything in the physics code has been rewritten. So the tire model alone, I know it's really difficult to comprehend the level of generational leap. It's not even a generational leap. It's multi-generations. It's the level of fidelity in the tire model alone should blow people's minds. And I've said it, and most people don't believe it, and I've seen online there's memes.
Tá muito fraca essa live. Tanto do Xbox Games Extended e essa do Forza Monthly.
That's all of 1 through 7 to 8 points of contact per tire.
What that means now is the tire patch, the contact patch, is fully realized. And if, like, say, as an example, just the top front right of the tire is on a curb, it knows that one part of the tire is on the curb and the other 7 knows it's not.
Wow.
And so it's constantly searching out all the grip it can find in all of these detailed surfaces that we have. So that's the first big thing. We went from 1 point of contact to 8. It makes everything just feel that much more smooth and realistic. The second big thing is that we've increased the polling frequency by 6 times. The physics model is running 6 times faster now.
Wow.
And that, once again, that should blow your mind. So the tire model alone with these 8 points of contact and running at 6 times the level of fidelity, that's 48 times more traction, grip.
Já volto aí, galera.
The tire model is crazy. So
Já volto aí, beleza?
Simulation up against any other sim out there. It is, and I think most sim racers know, it all starts with the tire model. And I think we got it right this time. It's incredible. So that's just one thing.
Okay.
And I said in the video, we have completely remodeled suspension, weight modeling, aero modeling. All of this is all new. I'm just not going to go into the details there because it's super detailed. We could spend an hour or more.
And maybe we will one day.
I hope so.
Yeah.
All of it is just, it makes the cars feel actually more approachable now. And that's actually one of the things that I think is the most important thing. All of these physics changes, it may sound even more intimidating. Like, oh my God, well now it's even more difficult.
Much more to pay attention to, yeah.
The fact is, with all of those changes, it's actually easier to drive.
Okay.
Because the cars actually feel real. They are as realistic as they've ever been. And there's just way more grip going around, and the cars are just that much more planted. Yeah, it's just that much more approachable to drive now.
Wow. So it feels more like you'd expect it to feel like if you were out on the road.
No, absolutely. So to that effect, you know, even down to the tire pressures modeled in the game, we are checking against all of the data that we get from our racing teams, the tire manufacturers. Our tire pressure is actually more accurate than some of the other sims that are out there. Just straight up, it is dead on. And some of the things that was going to come into our game and have an expectation that, oh, well, I tuned my car this way in this other game, and it should behave exactly like that. But those numbers may actually be incorrect. They may be close, but not exact. Okay. And what's super cool about this is like, wow, this is actually pretty real.
Wow, yeah.
So we actually can, and we have guys at work now that use the tuning in our game to help them dial in their tire pressure, their spring rates, and that sort of thing with their actual race car.
I know we say simulation a lot, but that's even
yeah,
super
it's
cool.
Crazy, yeah.
Applying the game to real life instead. Wow.
Yeah.
And then, of course, every track does have the fully dynamic time of day with weather, which is really cool. And you've got like dynamic tracks, right? There's rubber and dynamic temperatures and all sorts.
For once again, the motorsport nerds out there like myself, and vehicle dynamic nerds out there like myself, rubbering in we got that, right? Changing grip levels based off of how rubber's laid down. Cool, awesome. So grip's always changing too, but the reverse happens when it gets wet, right? The actual rubbered in line is actually more slippery when it starts to get wet.
Yeah.
So when it starts getting wet or rain or just a little bit moisture on there, like the chemicals are changing, and we're simulating all of that. So you have to be constantly aware of all of these changing dynamics. So it's not just looks are changing, right? Where now it's dark or there's a sun glaring right in your eye. Those are affecting things like the track temperatures, which affect your grip.
Yeah.
These are all changing. There's super in-depth physics simulation here that's happening under the hood. And it's, once again, it just challenges you to master the car corner by corner when all of this is changing.
It all comes together.
Cara, depois tomara que depois dessa conversa toda, tomara que tenha uma gameplay, pelo menos uma demo pra gente jogar, né? Pelo amor de Deus.
Very intense, but I think it's fair to say the competition in the new Forza Motorsport will be even more intense, and I'm excited to see those community race the AA drivers at their faster speeds, because that sounds terrifying. Yeah, good luck. So you mentioned that players can scale the difficulty of the AI to their liking, but does that also extend to the driving assists?
Yeah.
Because there's loads of new players, right, who are going to be interested in playing motorsport for the first time, and is it going to be fun but also competitive for us?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we touched on assists a little bit just in terms of the race, the race payouts and the credit scalars and that sort of thing. But this Forza Motorsport is definitely the most accessible racing simulation game that's going to be released and it's going to be out there. So we've talked a little bit about blind driving assist, one-button gameplay, that sort of thing. Well, the whole point here is we have these crazy assists from one-button driving, blind driving, that allow you to really play the game wherever you are, whatever skill level you have. Whatever assists that you need. So it is the most approachable as well because you can get in and start messing with these assists and really dial in the level of feel and control and complexity that you want to actually have with the game. So once again, if you've never driven a car, you can now drive this in the game. Our blind driving assist, no, quite frankly, I don't know many blind people who have driven a car before. And this is the first time that they may be able to actually drive a car, let alone get around on a track with it. So that level of accessibility is built directly into all of our assists in the game, and it's just, so no matter who you are, what your skill level is, you can play this game and be successful.
Amazing. And that is the most important thing, really, is like at any level you want to feel like it's fun, but also challenging. You don't want it to feel like it, you know, you put some assists on and just, oh, it's easy now. No, I don't want to play without assists, but so that sounds very, very customizable. So yeah, I mean, you said, you know, in previous games that there were certain like debuffs to characteristics of the cars when you use assists, and that's not really.
Oh yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, yeah. In previous games, when you turned on certain assists, not only would it reduce your payout, right? But it actually debuffed the car. Like, that's crazy. Like, so we were trying to encourage you to turn things off and really add complexity to the game for you, right? And we did things like if you turned ABS on, it reduced the amount of friction that you would have when you're braking versus ABS off. So you had all these debuffs in all the assists, right? So all of that's gone. It doesn't really matter what you turn on or off. You're going to have the same driving experience that everyone else would be.
The physics is going to be the same, regardless of assists, which is awesome. So tell us about the race engineer, because there was a little hint of that, I think, in the video we just saw. But how does a race engineer work?
Yeah. You might get you got a little taste in that video. In our trailer as well for the game, for the big showcase that we had, she was in there and she was talking a little bit. I do want to let you know, everyone that's watching, that the race engineer doesn't sound like she does in the trailer. we recorded her for the trailer to kind of, you know, amp up the energy there. She doesn't sound like that at all in the game. She's a race engineer. What she does on track for you is basically help you unlock your fastest self. She's there as your coach, telling you, hey, think about the corner this way. Here's the track conditions. We'll let you know about your tire and fuel, how you're doing overall, what's going on the track, that sort of thing. Just what a race engineer would normally do. But she's not just that. She also helps you out in the overall game. She'll be in the menus. She'll helping you through the Builders Cup. She'll help you understand what to do with cars and how to build things and that sort of thing. So she's your coach all over in the game, helping you be successful, not just on track, but with the game all.
Right, she's like a constant companion sort of thing throughout the whole thing. But I mean, if I'm in a race, is she always going to be there? Can I turn her on or off?
Yeah, we have some options here, and we're going to explore all sorts of ways of dialing in the exact level of interaction that you want with her. And we've played with a lot of different scenarios, so yeah, there'll be more details on that.
Excellent. All right, so the Builders Cup, obviously a way to experience different cars, a way to build them, and to understand and feel the car, make it feel like yours throughout the entire game. But is there like an overarching goal that you consider that we should be working towards with the Builders Cup?
Yeah, so the Builders Cup structure, you saw these are all built into racing series, and you saw the Built for Sport racing series, just the first event of it, in the video today. All of these racing series are kind of put together in a theme, and those themes are what we call tours, so tours of motorsport. When you complete a tour, meaning you complete all the racing series in that tour, you unlock a special reward car, and that's the only way you get that car. So that's the main reason why you'll play through these different racing series, is to work towards a cool car.
Now, when we're going to be updating the game with new cars and content and tracks and that sort of thing, yeah, you'll start to see this structure play out, and we'll be dangling some really cool cars at the end of tours if you complete them. So yeah, that's the main reason to play the different tours.
Amazing. Constantly evolving over time. Well, thank you very much, Chris, for walking us through the Builders Cup career mode in Forza Motorsport. As I said, I love my RPGs, and I'm very excited to play and experience it alongside our community on October 10th. But that is not all the news we have for you today, because Chris and I will be back later in the show with more news on Forza Motorsport, including a closer look at the cover cars for the game, the 2024 Chevrolet Corvette E-Ray, and the 2023 #1 Cadillac Racing V-Series.R race car. Very long names, the best. And don't forget about the new bright RC model of the Cadillac Racing V-Series.R, which we'll be giving away to one lucky Twitch viewer today. So look at the Twitch chat for details. Stick around for the giveaway at the end of the show. ! Giveaway in chat. Just need to do it once. Enter. Do it. Why not? But for now, Chris and I will be taking a little bit of a break here at the Peterson, maybe having a little wander around or something, to check out a few cars. And Charlie and the Playground Games team are going to be walking you through what's coming in Forza Horizon 5 in the next series update. They're coming up next, right after this.
Hey everyone, Chris Osaki for Forza Motorsport, and today we have a really special guest, joined by Calvin Parker, Assistant Program Manager for Cadillac Racing, and we're going to be talking about this amazing V-Series.R today.
This is our 01 Cadillac V-Series.R. This is piloted by Renger van der Zand and Sebastian Bourdais for most of our longer races there, and then joined by some additional drivers for our endurance ones. So yeah, we're really excited to have this new car out here that I think not only represents what Cadillac means on the cutting edge of technology and performance, but also on the cutting edge of design as well.
It's striking. And I think one of the things about the design of this series that it's in is to really bring some of the actual manufacturer design elements to this kind of prototype platform.
So we're kind of really trying to harken back to what you used to see on those old 1950s Cadillacs, right? The vertical tail fins and things like that. The vertical lighting right here, in addition to the flying buttresses that we've got here, just kind of really give us a sense of presence and a sense of aggressiveness that we try to bring to our production cars as well.
I mean, it's crazy to me that you've got so many just straight up exposed areas. You actually see the tires physically.
We really wanted to bring something exciting to the car, and I think by having this gap right here, it just makes it look more aggressive, as well as adds some sense of speed when you see it out there, and the tires just kind of flying through that gap there. This is one of my favorite parts actually right here, which is our illuminated crest. You can kind of see on the front there, that's kind of hearkening to our future production vehicles and the ones that we currently got in production.
I love so much about this car. Yeah. But the lighting in particular, it's really bold. It just comes really forward, and man, it's just super cool.
Olha aí.
Hello and welcome back to Playground Games. What an exciting week for Forza fans. First up, the huge Forza Motorsport announcements at the Xbox Showcase. Secondly, that first look at Forza Motorsport gameplay you just saw with Chris Saki. And now number 3, I gotta tell you, another amazing update for Forza Horizon 5 is on the way. Now, if you haven't joined us before, my name is Charlie, and each and every month we come to you from Playground Games here in wonderful Leamington Spa in England, and we bring you all the new cars, content and features coming in Forza Horizon 5 in our series updates. So we are going to be giving you a full deep dive on the Upgrade Heroes series update next week, but to provide you with just a smidge of a wee little taste of the next update, I am now joined by senior game designer Kelly Boyle. Hello Kelly, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. How are you?
I am absolutely buzzing. It's been such a good week, and I'm going to dive straight into vehicle director and expert in all things four-wheeled. It's Chris Phillips. How you doing down there, my love?
Yeah, I'm good, Tar.
Wonderful. And last but not least, back again, design assistant is Joe Glasgow-Dean. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Charlie. Yeah, really excited.
Wonderful. Stunning week for absolutely everyone in the room. But now, before we dive into the new content, last month we delivered a humongous update in the in-game photo mode in Horizon 5, and social media has
Galera, vou encerrar a live, eu acho. Agora passar do
We wanted to take a moment to recognize just some of our favorites. So let's get the pictures rolling and have a chat about them. First up, I wanted to talk about this one because in case anyone missed it, Horizon 5 in our last update, we found out that in the photo mode you can now change the weather and the time of day and the season whenever you want. It's not just a dev thing that you guys can do whenever you want to do something fun anymore, right?
Yeah, so it's one of those...
Tá bom, deixar essa parte aí. Tá bom? Obrigado a todos aí que curtiram, comentaram, a Bia, o Júnior, a Rose, minha mãe que deixou o like, que eu sei, Balder, todo mundo. Beleza? Obrigado a todos, que Jesus abençoe cada um de vocês e até amanhã, se Deus quiser. Amanhã temos live normal, né? Acho que não vai ter nenhum evento amanhã, mas se tiver, vamos transmitir também. Beleza? Então tá, galera. Fique com Deus. Até amanhã, se Deus quiser. Agora aqui é só a atualização do Forza Horizon 5, tá? Eu tô vendo aqui. Beleza? Então tá, galera. Fique com Deus. Até amanhã. Muito obrigado. Não esqueça de deixar o like, se inscrever no canal. Beleza? Então tá. Forte abraço a todos. Fique com Deus. Tchau. Beijos. Até amanhã, se Deus quiser. Falou. Fui.